Woodworking, Guide of Popular DIY Woodworking Ideas and Plans by Harry Devers, narrated by Jason Burkett. Introduction. Woodworking can be a pain or a delight. It all depends on what you do with it and how you do it. The problem is that many people have A, no clue what they're doing when it comes to creating a beautiful or functional woodworking project, or B, they are an expert at the trade, but they lack the knowledge to sell, market, promote, or apply it. Woodworking involves woods, tools, machines, and a lot of expertise on a particular finishing touches. You need to have a knowledge foundation in order to feel accomplished and fulfilled. Only when you know what you are about to start can you feel like you are headed into the right direction. This book will guide you along. It will go over some project specifics, kitchen projects, bedrooms, finishing touches, tips for certain woods, and more. Chapter 1. Websites, Products, and Software. You have to learn some math to plan and design woodworking projects. So if you don't like measuring and calculating, then you're going to have a problem. Woodworkers have similar skills to engineers and architects. This makes sure that the project's fit and structural integrity won't be compromised. Many beginners don't have the necessary know-how to excel in these fields. Even the experts don't like to figure things out, and they would rather use a plan that's set in stone instead of creating or designing a new one themselves. But that's okay. It's not much of a problem anymore. On many websites on the internet, you can find free plans for woodworking projects. These plans have diagrams and precise measurements for the project. They often provide information about increasing the size or adjusting certain measurements too, in case you feel like that's a better fit for you. UBuild is one of the best websites on this topic. It has been around for a long time and has plans and projects for the novices and advanced enthusiasts. The plans are easy to follow, and all you have to do is buy, download, and print the pattern. So no, this one is not free, but it definitely is one of the better ones. You just have to trace the patterns on the wood after all, so you don't need complicated drawing skills. The patterns are cut and assembled at a later stage. Not only does the website have fully traceable patterns, but it also provides the plans, step-by-step instructions, in-progress pictures, uploaded diagrams, a complete materials list, and cutting measurements. Not too shabby, is it? The link to this website is just www.theletteru-bild.com. On the same website, you can find woodworking project kits as well, like those for furniture, cabinets, dollhouses, toys, and playground objects. Every piece has been prefabricated and treated with protective finishes. It's easy because you don't have to cut any wood. All you have to do is assemble the pieces. Of course, those kits are priced a little higher, but it will save you a lot of time. If you don't like any of the books, plans, or kits, you can get a refund with no questions asked, if it gets returned within 45 days. Can you resell these plans? Well, that's the only downside. It has a copyrighted privacy policy, and it makes sense. I mentioned it in a different book, but here are some other websites with cheap plans and overviews for projects. If you bought the ebook version of this book, you can take a look at them. 16,000 Woodworking Plans by tedswoodworking.com. The Angry Woodworker's Blueprint, Guide to Making Money with Woodworking Business. Cheap Woodworking Secrets, so you can find the cheapest tools and other stuff. Woodprofits.com, How to Launch Your Woodworking Business to Make More Than $90,000 per Year. 9,000 Furniture Craft Plans. Patterns. Every woodworker needs a pattern. This is essential because patterns function as directions to a project. Details are provided and instructions are often clear, making it hard to miss the point and know what to do. A novice, in particular, will be aided by a pattern. This person will avoid mistakes or certain problems when working on a project with the help of a specific pattern. The internet patterns are often more attractive and detailed than the ones you buy in stores. Each pattern has specific materials and tools listed, so you won't be left in the dark. These are for beginners and pros. A normal woodworking pattern has 3 designs. Those designs make the project easier to do by simplifying it. The first design shows which parts are necessary to get the job done. The second one shows the view of the part and how it fits into other parts. The third one portrays the finished object and the included functionality of the features. When you use an online pattern, take these things into account. First, you need to decide if the execution of the pattern is within your skills and expertise. Don't do something that you cannot do, because if you make such vain attempts, you will be disappointed with the final results. Make sure that you have the proper tools for that project. Additionally, check if you have the right materials or that you have enough money to buy the ones you need. Some people overlook this and end up spending a fortune. Second, the pattern must be original. It needs to be unique when it comes to the design. Keep in mind that artistry and uniqueness helps you find more fulfillment in the project and the results. Copying designs and using them for anything except for personal use can be seen as plagiarism and is punishable by law in many cases. So be careful about what you use and for what. More specifically, be careful about what you sell or promote. You should also do the same thing when you want to go to your showcases in a woodworking trade show, a local fair, or some other related event. The ones who design the patterns are usually good at recognizing the designs they did. So if you don't give tribute to their original concepts, you can get into some trouble when it comes to copyrights. What you should do when you want to use the pattern is slightly alter it, so it becomes your own. When I do artistic projects, I always look at others, and I copy a lot, but not everything. Art is combining already existing elements in a unique and never-before-seen way, not inventing something that never existed in the first place, just from scratch. This is the best way to, like a famous book says, steal like an artist. Simple woodworking products. There are some simple products to get or to start with, or to do when you're at an intermediate level. 1. A good product and tool is a magnetic wrist nail holder. This is something that fits on a woodworker's wrist. When you look inside of it, there are 6 magnets. Woodworkers can stick nails to it, so they don't need to dig in a nail chest. It's capable of holding an entire pound of nails or drill bits. 2. A miniature airplane is another popular product. Many woodworkers, young and old, love smoothing the edges, and with the precision it requires, it becomes a fun hobby for many enthusiasts or collectors. 3. Something else that is considered to be useful is a bojack. You can use this handy tool to install wooden boards or floors, decking and ceilings. Bojacks are placed flanking a board. After that, the bojack spur should be driven into the framing. When the bojack's lever is pulled, it forces the board into the right position and spacing. A sliding collar holds the board in this position. This allows a woodworker to use his hands so he can fasten the boards to the frame without having to call for help. This is one of those nifty tools that a lot of them overlook when they start on a project. 4. Then there are steel straight edges, which are also considered to be extremely useful products. These are able to withstand scoring and other significant processes that can damage normal plastic or wooden rulers. Some of the most accurate straight edges come with a measuring level gauge. 5. It helps a lot that woodworkers have to go places with their tools. An average toolbox would be too big and inconvenient. For this reason, some manufacturers created a roll-up tool bag. It comes in handy and is good for keeping, organizing, and protecting all of your tools. The bag is made out of thick polyester fabric, and it has pockets enough for as much as 9 tools. Every pocket is capable of holding tools up to 2 inches in diameter. Additionally, every pocket has a flap to avoid dropping that tool. Typically, the bag can be spread out and can be mounted to a wall. 6. Safety comes first. We all know that. Therefore, a safety tether must be tied to tools. A safety tether is made out of a coiled stainless steel for a maximum strength of 175 kilos. A woodworker can attach this to his belt if he wants, and if he drops the tool, the tether will prevent it from falling too far. There are many other handy woodworking products, but you can only get so many, and you should be selective when you make a choice of what is needed and what you can easily do without. CAD woodworking computer software. As mentioned before, precise planning prevents accidents, mistakes, losses, and frustrations. Visualizing the end result is half the work, and for this reason, it's important to have a picture of what you're going to build. Smart woodworkers nowadays use a computer software called CAD to design products. With the CAD software, he can draw and view a virtual representation of the end result before he puts it together. It gets complicated sometimes because there are more than one CAD software product, but there are a lot of CAD products. To help you determine which one helps the best in woodworking projects, let me mention a few important ones. The best software program for a novice in this field is DesignCAD. It has the best reviews and the least complaints, or so I've read. You can draw in 2D with this program and then create those same drawings in 3D renderings. Additional programs like Shed and Shop and woodworking design add-ons can be attached to this and embedded in the program. DesignCAD is an okay price CAD package, but just like with every other CAD tool, the user will have to study it well to learn all the features. Saying that, however, it is still simpler and easier to figure out than the other CAD products like TurboCAD, which are more complicated but also have more advanced features than the basic DesignCAD. For those who are expert and already familiar with CAD, AutoCAD LT is a great woodworking program as well. Although the AutoCAD LT supports the normal design web formats in different AutoCAD products, the LT lacks the 3D modeling. Sheet set control, dynamic block authoring, presentation graphics, and customization features in other AutoCAD products. The AutoCAD LT is definitely not for those who like to draw and design the old-fashioned way. Another one is AutoSketch. Originally, it was a mechanical and architectural design tool, not a software to create graphics. Complicated projects for expert woodworkers are usually done with this software, especially when it comes to complex internal frames. It's definitely not something that beginners should try, or they would get too confused. CAD systems form the basis for understanding AutoSketch, and even then, it takes some experience in getting used to it. Many CAD products that I told you about are between $200 and $1,000. The added value of these programs, however, is immense. It's worth taking a look at them. Chapter 2. Finishes and Stain. Let's talk about finishes and stain, two topics you should know more about when you're involved in woodworking projects. Wood finishes. The sun, water, stains, and dust can damage wood. Everything that is made out of wood is vulnerable to the elements of nature. To protect the thing you worked so hard on, it is essential to inexpensively apply wood finishing to its surface. Wood finishing refers to the process of protecting and enhancing an item's surface, an item made out of wood, of course. You have to begin by scraping or sanding the surface. Wood putty and sandy can get rid of any discrepancies like nails or uneven surface imperfections. While you do this, you can bleach, stain, or fume it with ammonia in order to change the color of the wood. After the wood surface is ready or stained, wood polishes can be applied. Some of the best-known wood finishes are, among others, wax, shellac, linseed or tung oil, lacquer, varnish, or paint. Danish oil is a whole different category, but let's not go into that one. It's a thin varnish with a high oil and solvent content. Let's just keep it at that. Water-based finishes are not recommended, since they tend to cause the surface fuzz to rise, which actually has to be sanded down, not the other way around. Every different wood finish has unique characteristics and has its own special effect. For instance, nitrocellulose lacquer has a tendency to produce a transparent, glossy shine. It provides protection, and the coat is durable. When needed, it is possible to get rid of this by applying lacquer thinner. On the flip side, alkali varnish produces a smooth orange or yellow tint and creates a warm color. This type of wood finish can easily be eliminated by using certain paint thinners. You apply wood finisher in a number of ways. Usually, it happens just by wiping it to the surface with a piece of fabric. Others need to be applied by the use of sprayer or a brush. French polishing is another wood finish, which means putting several layers of shellac or similar other finish with a proper rubbing pad. The wood will be shiny after this, and if that's the intended effect, then go with it by all means. Whichever type of wood finish you use, keep in mind that all of those substances are poisonous. You should wear protective gear like goggles, gloves, and a dust mask when you're finishing the wood surface. The finishes protect and perfect the wood, so don't skip this important step. Wood stain. After finishing a piece of wood, the wood grain and surface makes it look natural and beautiful. But don't be deceived, your piece of wood will look better if the grain is highlighted. What can also make it look better is another shade of tint from aged wood or tropical or foreign wood. You can use wood stains to get these results. A wood stain consists of pigment, solvent, and binder. These three elements also exist in paint. The difference between wood stain and paint is that paint consists of 3 equal parts of the 3 substances, while wood stain consists of mostly pigment and solvent. Only a little amount of binder is there. This composition allows the pigments of the wood stain to be absorbed into the pores of the wood, which is different from paint, which generates a film or color over the wood. The wood surface copies the color of the pigment but doesn't prevent the substrate, or the natural texture and color of the wood, from being visible for the most part. Once the wood stain is dry, varnishes and surface film should be applied to protect the color or to prevent the wood from becoming too shiny. There are those who assume that wood stains and varnishes are the same, but varnishes don't contain pigments and color, so they are completely see-through. Some companies, though, produce combinations of these substances, and they are available in various locations. Wood stains' viscosity range from thin to very thick, like siding stains, which pierce the wood better than paint. Additionally, they protect wood against sunlight, ultraviolet rays, water, mildew, and fungal decay. Siding stains have binders that are softer and more flexible than those used in paints. In this way, the siding stain are also more flexible than the paint. Specific solvent-based or oil-based stains have bits of paraffin wax in them. You should not paint over furniture that has been treated in these types of stains, but you can definitely stain them again. The kind of wood stain determines whether application is hard or easy, and the wood substrate characteristics add this as well. For instance, freshly cut wood doesn't absorb the stain effectively, but aged wood accepts stains well. In-grain and bias-cut grain woods also absorb stains so well that the darkening will become considerable. Wood that has been stripped or painted or washed down with solvents can absorb wood stains better than wood that has not yet been painted or stripped. Therefore, if you want to change wooden furniture's shade, simply apply wood stain. It's easier and less expensive than being forced to look for a specific type of wood that has precisely the shade you are after. Chapter 3. Measure Well. Woodworking goes back a long time and has been around before any known form of historical recording system even existed. Woodworking has evolved since the simple building, carving, and decorating that they did a few thousand years ago. Modern society has gone along with the development of woodworking skills, and today techniques and methods are way more advanced than they used to be. Measuring and determining the layout of a woodworking piece or project is half the work. The right selection of tools, the know-how, and other factors contribute to its success, but still, if you don't measure well, you won't know what you're doing. Primitive man invented measuring tools already, and today's tools are simply an advanced way of copying those origins. The knotted cord, among the first of the primitive measuring and layouting tools that they used in ancient times, is said to be the measuring and layout device of primitive examiners. The early Egyptians and the Inca Empire, as well as advanced Greeks, used knotted cords as a tool for gauging region spaces. The knotted cord as a measuring and layout tool is to be precise, a length of cord with knots at various intervals. Sometime later, it got replaced by a chain version, which apparently was more precise, and as chains don't stretch in time, a wear and tear concern with knotted cords. Then there is the measuring tape. Many woodworkers use it, but it is a derivative of the knotted cord. In fact, it can simply be seen as a ruler, except that it can be rolled up over a surface. which comes in handy for sure, and then rolled back after the measurement reading has been done. There are numerous brands that claim to have different types of measuring tapes, and every one of them has a variety of different features. There are measuring tapes that include a laser pointer to guide you better in your measuring efforts, but others have a memory function, so you can perform more measurements at the same time. However, the basic principle of measuring tapes is still the same as that of the basic knotted cord. Now, let's talk about calipers. Another famous measuring and layout tool, which are used to take detailed measurements. Compasses look like calipers, and some people think that they are the same. I'm not talking about north, south, east, west compasses, but those that create perfect circles. Calipers increase perfection and precision. Since they boast the capability to measure within a 0 to 6 inch, 0 to 150 millimeter range, with an accuracy measure of up to 0.001 inch or plus or minus 0.02 millimeters. Nowadays, one of the best things to speed up the process is getting a digital caliper. Proper fitting pieces of wood can only be done after the proper measurements. This important element of woodworking needs to be emphasized more, and some are not living up to the challenge of taking the time to do boring measurements. Now let's take a look at some kitchen projects you can do yourself. Chapter 4: DIY Kitchen Projects. If you do woodworking, there is a lot to be done in the kitchen. Many people are looking for woodworkers who do their cabinets, dining tables, chairs, or cupboards. Here are some ideas for projects like that. Sources for kitchen project ideas. The kitchen is often crowded, especially in family areas. You can expect constant traffic in the kitchen area. Cooking causes dirty surfaces, and the smells and homey feelings in the kitchen should be something the people that live there want to be. Kitchens need a lot of planning. If something is in the way of the foot traffic, then it can hinder the activities that are important for everyday living. Furniture and other pieces of wood should be visually attractive, and the composition needs to be tidy and relaxing. You can browse the internet or look through magazines to get ideas of how to model or remodel your kitchen. Brainstorming with the family can contribute, as well as visiting local stores or warehouses that sell kitchen sets. These factors combined will give you a lot of insights of what is desired and efficient. However, pictures of complete kitchens aren't always necessary. The best thing is to look for specific details that form the kitchen you like. Take those elements and combine them with elements of other kitchens you like. You may be fond of the patterns in the cabinets, the finishing touches, or the colors of the table, but not the sides and the corners of some cupboards. The countertop from another kitchen can be copied and combined with your preferences. Once you pick up the details, cut or print those pictures and compile them. You are actually doing a scrapbook for ideas on your kitchen project. If you have time, it would be a good idea if you do this for at least 2, 4, or 6 months before the intended schedule of construction. This will give you a lot of choices and a variety of kitchen styles. Lowe's and Home Expo can offer nice suggestions as well. They often have the latest fashion or most modern changes, and you want to make sure you go along with what is popular and constructive. Hiring a decorator or professional designer can cost a few $100, but it may well be worth it if they can give you the ideas about how to model your kitchen. Don't forget that there have been a lot of mistakes in history, and that it can increase your kitchen's value with hundreds or even thousands of dollars if you take the time and invest the money to do it right. Kitchens are expensive, so face the facts and deal with the numbers and the precision of perfecting it to your best ability. Do not cut corners. You or the people you build it for will be satisfied for years to come. Kitchen cabinet refurnishing. Kitchens have to take a lot of damage over the years. Functionality and beauty go hand in hand with your plan for the materials, the surface, and the finishing touches. Grime, heat, grease, and chipping quickly make the cabinets look dirty and shabby. That's just how it goes. But sometimes you can do something cheaply if we think about it, so that your perfect work doesn't get destroyed. Instead of replacing cabinets, for instance, you can refurbish them. There are many other projects you can just refurbish instead of the expensive other options, replacing. It comes down to repairing, removing negative elements, and finishing things up. Sanding, adding detail, and chipping away the wrongs is part of it. Cabinets can look about 90% different with refurbishing techniques. Its original appearance will be gone for the most part, but not entirely. Even though they won't look completely new, they will look polished and taken care of. It's simply a better option in most cases, because it is the most efficient and quickest way to better a kitchen's look. You can even do a refurbishing job in a single day. How about that, huh? Cheap, effective, and fast. What more would you want? It costs about 25% of the price of a real refinishing job, and about 10% of the price of purchasing and installing brand new cabinets in the same area. Some owners may even like it better, since it looks classical or antique. It all begins with using specific chemical cleaners that can penetrate grease and grime. The good thing about these chemicals is that they are formulated not to harm the cabinet's original finish. When the cabinets are cleaned, you can start repairing them. Scratches, chips, stains, dents, and burns are puttied and filled. Structural problems like loose veneers can also be fixed. The original finish can be applied to the cabinets in that case. After it has been dried up, coats of protective chemicals should be applied to protect the cabinets against grease, grime, and dirt. Because you clean the cabinets after that, those coats make it easier to clean them. The only downside, and that's something I forget to mention, is that it should only be up to the pros to do this. It takes a lot of practice to get good at refurbishing. The tools are special tools, and if it were to be done by a beginner, the result would most likely be worse than how they looked in their original state. Chapter 5. Varnishing. Varnishing is another thing to master. It's not too hard, but it's a definite skill to learn when you want to become a good woodworker. It is just another specific way to finish the project. Something I talked about earlier, but I will go into this in more detail in this chapter. Varnish is a preferred finishing method that most woodworkers use. Varnish comes as glossy satin and flat. It is considered to be a surface coat, which signifies that damage to the finish won't always go through the wood surface underneath it. If we assume the wood surface is sanded and prepared, then here are several steps on varnishing so that the work will be easier. 1. The first step in varnishing correctly is to find a dust-free space. Dust and dirt tend to stick to the wet varnish layer, so put some newspaper around the item that you're going to varnish. The newspaper will absorb the spilled varnish if you do it the right way. 2. After that, double check if the varnish should be mixed with a stain or filler. Always use compatible materials for this, because if you don't, it can definitely go wrong. So don't mix different kinds of sealers with each other. 3. When the varnish is ready to be applied, you should find a good paintbrush you haven't used before, and then apply the varnish as if it were regular paint. Don't use old varnish, because it may have lumps in it, which can cause a rough finish and a disastrous ending. 4. This is the next step. You should keep in mind to apply the varnish in long, smooth strokes. When you do, it causes the surface to be even without ugly brush marks. As you apply the varnish, it needs to flow into the surface of the wood. But if the brush begins to pull, it's important to add some thinner to the varnish. Be sure to stir the thinner into the varnish and be careful not to create surface bubbles. It is simpler to varnish the wood of horizontal surfaces instead of vertical ones. This means you can turn the furniture on its side when you apply varnish to the legs. Moving or removing parts should be taken out before you begin to varnish. Work on one area and then go to another one. The order doesn't matter as much, but it keeps you in a pattern. Leave the first coat of varnish alone and let it dry for a full day. Once they are completely dry, apply a second coat and use a separate brush for the coat. You can apply 5 coats if you want. Always make sure you use a new brush for every new coat you put on there. Don't use old or used brushes. You should make sure, too, that the previous coats are completely dry before you apply a new layer. If you don't, the finish might crack, and you don't want that. Once the final coat is dry, wipe the whole object with dry cloth to remove the dust. Following these steps on how to varnish will ensure you that you will have a beautiful finished piece of wood furniture. Chapter 6. Projects that go outside. Whether it's a dog house, a bird house, or a beautiful deck, there are many projects you can do in the yard. Or, well, those are basically the 3 I will be talking about. My parents built an entire shed at one time, but that's something else you can consider yourself. Doghouse. Millions of dog owners would raise their voices to tell you they would value a cool dog house that is polished and sturdy. Then there are those who don't like the thought of dogs sleeping in a home in the yard. No matter the opinions, the fact is that dogs are often messy, noisy, and smelly. They shed, pee, and bark. They ruin furniture and leave a dirty smell in the home. Some buy dog houses, others make them. But if you make them, you need to plan well what you're doing. The first step in making a doghouse plan is to measure the dog. This may sound funny, but hey, you don't want a doghouse that's way too big or too small for a big dog. You may even want to use a measuring to measure the dog's approximate proportions. Sitting down and standing up matters, so take that into account too. The dog is longer when laying down and stretching, and taller when standing up. Then decide how big the entrance will be. The dog should be able to get in and out of the doghouse without significantly stooping over. In fact, the entrance should be high enough so that he can look out from the entrance while he's sitting and standing. When you think of where to put the doghouse, it may be important to consider a shady area so that it will be cooler for the dog. If you live in a cold climate, perhaps a sunny spot would be better. When it's really hot, the dog will get uncomfortable if there's just a simple roof on it. Consider adding a ceiling inside the house to keep the heat out. As you involve the roof of the doghouse plan, it would be smart to let the roof overhang several inches away from the wall for water runoff. Then it will keep the interior dry when it rains. Use the wood for whatever you want, but at least use it for the floor, the walls, and the framework. It's colder, more convenient to work with, and better looking than other materials out there. Since it's lighter too, the owner is able to carry the doghouse to a different spot without hurting his back. Only choose wood that is waterproof and treated for termite protection. When all of these things are taken into account and the plan is complete, the owner can design the doghouse in any way he wishes, although some owners love the classic look of a Snoopy doghouse. There are also many other styles. Perhaps you should look some up on the internet to get the gist of it or come up with a creative idea. For instance, a special doghouse might feature a fake fireplace. The walls can have extravagant windows. Planning a good doghouse takes a lot of time and thinking, as well as coming up with original ideas. But this is needed to get done. After all, the owner is making a home for a family member, his beloved pet. Decks. Decks are underrated. A powerful, beautiful, sturdy deck can enhance the value of a home significantly. To create a deck, you need a plan. As with everything else, it should be determined whether a deck will be attached to the house or separated. Also, parts like a ceiling, areas for sitting, and railings can make all the difference in designing a plan. Next is materials. The kind of materials you use will determine the cost, the maintenance, the beauty, and many other factors that contribute to the quality and value of the deck, as well as functionality and comfort. Decks are exposed to rain, snow, sunlight, wind, and other natural elements. So it is of the utmost importance that the materials are high quality. Don't cut corners by keeping your costs too low. The value of the deck will all be worth it, especially if it's sturdy and lasts for a long time. That is because wood is durable, versatile, and easy to work with. This is why many people prefer wood as the main deck material. Heavy, thick beams of wood can be used as the framework for the deck. You can use wooden boards for flooring, and you could add coatings of a pretty warm look. Wood is not the only material that you should look at, though. You can use cement or rocks as the main structure of the foundation for stairs or underneath as the basic groundwork. Make sure you include stairs, beams, joints, railings, posts, lighting, and benches. These are usually all part of a deck. You should let the town's authorities check and approve of the deck before you start constructing it. If you don't want to go through the paperwork, then it would be better to hire a licensed contractor to take care of it. I have an uncle who created a deck, and it looks awesome. I can see the fulfillment in his eyes when he talks about the process and shows us the end result. So if it's something you want to try for yourself, I encourage you to do it. Birdhouse. Since more people have grown a love for gardening, an interest in bird watching was increased as well. Many people nowadays care more about protecting species of birds, and they even organize entire trips to the other side of the continent, or the world, for that matter, to go bird watching. Natural homes for birds and trees are being destroyed. And there are lots more people today who are interested in building or buying a birdhouse. These houses can help the birds repopulate and survive winters. Building a birdhouse is no easy task. The size, the model, and many other aspects make it a challenging project that needs to have a precise layout and good plan. Before you begin, you should do some research on which bird species populate your area and their home specifics. Pay special attention to the diameter of the entrance and the depth and diameter of the cavity that the birds will need for their homes in the wild. Before you do anything else, this is one of the most important things to look up, so you can have all the basics in place. When the dimensions of the cavity of the birdhouse have been set, the next step is incorporating different features in your plan for a birdhouse. The birdhouse has to be protected from rain and sun rays. This is a reason why wood is such a good material to use. Cutting and constructing it is much simpler than other materials. The wood you purchase should either be waterproof or receive a waterproof coating that you add. As you design the birdhouse plan, think about countersinking the entrance holes in the walls of the object. By this, I mean the edges of the roof should protrude enough from the wall. That way, rain won't enter the birdhouse. Do a check and see if your birdhouse plan allows the birds to access the entrance easily. Don't install perches. You don't need them, and they can be an obstacle to the birds when they leave or enter the holes. A simple row of small holes under the eaves allows for ventilation and a nice flow of air to go through the house. You should also consider adding a small drainage hole on the floor, just in case the rain does enter the house. Birds tend to like bright colors. White and light gray are common colors for a birdhouse. Neutral shades of green or gray are acceptable as well. Make it so that you can clean the birdhouse. Since many birdhouses are built on tall stilts, you might want to consider a ladder or shorter stilts. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Let's take a look at another thing you can do with woodworking. Benches. Chapter 7. Benches. The success of woodworking projects depend for a large part on using the tools properly. It matters which tools you choose to use and how. Therefore, the right tool for the right job yields the right result. Where tools come as integral, woodworking benches and accessories are not necessary for the completion of a successful woodworking project. However, woodworking benches and accessories give us an avenue for a better organized workflow. This can be beneficial to any woodworker, whether he is experienced or just a beginner. Many different benches and accessories for woodworking are available in any woodworking shop. There are even shops that sell diagrams and patterns for making various benches and accessories, providing woodworkers with a more personal involvement with their woodworking space. Those benches and accessories are made to complement the tools a woodworker is already using. They optimize the workflow and have been proven to be effective at doing so. Adjustable support accessories. These have been designed to be mounted on a workbench, and they are greased to help jointers in cutting pieces of wood, as well as joining the cut joints. Many woodworkers also use them as clamps, since they give a level of pressure when holding a piece of wood. There is not just one design out there, although a default clamping principle does for adjustable support accessories. It depends on each woodworker how they are mounted, since everyone has their own preference as to where the accessory should be mounted in the first place. Blocks or holders for power tool mounting. This is what the name indicates. It is a block or holder. These devices hold your power tools. Imagine that it's a holster for placing a power tool. As the operator needs both his hands to adjust a piece of wood, the power tool mounting block or holster can come in handy indeed as a part of the roster of benches and accessories in woodworking. Power tool mounting blocks or holsters are very common. Storage rack for hand tools. Accessories for this type are common as well, as they give a woodworker easy access to his tools. The woodworker can place them on top of a workbench or underneath it. They can be placed wherever you want. Just be strategic about it, is all I can say. Just like with the previous tool I mentioned, there's not just one exact way to do it, but only a principle behind it to keep in mind. These are simply some of the most common of woodworking benches and accessories. Even though they are not always mandatory for the success of woodworking projects, they can enhance workflow and create a more organized workspace. Chapter 8. Bedrooms. Since bedrooms are there to use for rest and other activities, the privacy of bedroom is something that allows an individual or couple to be themselves fully and forget about the outside world. Bedroom plans should reflect the importance of those rooms and include elements of comfort and coziness. Placing and creating the right furniture in the right places can create an atmosphere of belonging and relaxing. Natural light is one of the main concerns. Large windows are an essential part of a bedroom, not just to let in light, but also fresh air. Many people like to air out their rooms in the morning. In the evening, an open window can provide a cool breeze on a hot summer day. They need to be able to shut or have curtains or blinds so that the light doesn't wake the individuals up in the morning or when they're taking their afternoon nap. Wood is one of the best choices out there. It has beautiful colors and gentle tones. For your bedroom plan, you could consider installing wooden floorboards and walls. Wooden floors give the room some warmth. Ceramic tiles, marble, and granite are awful when you're walking on your bedroom floor with bare feet. The floor will be hard, cold, and unpleasant. If a tile, marble, or granite floor is part of the bedroom plan, then perhaps you should invest in a soft carpet that could cover at least the area where the bed will be put. To emphasize the wood in the room, you can create soft light in the bedroom. Lamp shades and pen lights are excellent for it. In this way, you can create a romantic atmosphere at night. Naturally, you shouldn't exclude the main center light in case you need strong light. Something else you can do is having an added wooden cabinet or storage space installed in your bedroom. Not just a walk-in closet, bedrooms have the tendency to get cluttered, and I have seen it in many homes that way. They throw their dirty or clean laundry on the floor, their makeup or anything else. Trust me, I know all about it. Consider using similar fabric designs and colors for the curtains and the bed sheets in your personal bedroom plan. That will make your bedroom look as if it was professionally decorated. With that in mind, try to match the kind of wood of the bedroom furniture and floor. The uniform look makes the congruency and professionality stand out more. If the room is small, you could put large mirrors on the wall. This will create an illusion of space and cause it to look bigger than it actually is. You live 1/3 of your life in your bedroom. Go figure, 8 hours of sleep in a 24-hour day. Therefore, these tips are recommended to ensure that your bedroom is a refuge where you can relax and rest with great comfort. Chapter 10. Tips for plywood. Plywood is a very common kind of engineered wood, and it is made out of thin sheets of wood veneer. The veneer sheets are linked by heat, pressure, and strong adhesives. The more the veneer sheets are attached to each other, the thicker the plywood will be. As with any other kind of engineered wood, there are techniques on how to work most effectively with plywood. In the following few paragraphs, there are several woodworking tips for when you are dealing with plywood. The first plywood tip I have for you is to avoid cross-cutting, or cutting across the grain. Plywood is more likely to chip if you cross-cut it. It'd be safer to cut along the length of the grain to keep the plywood from chipping. Another thing you should do when you work with plywood is scoring a line first, which comes in handy because it creates a cleaner and crisper cut than cutting the plywood immediately with a saw. You can score by using a knife or the tip of a saw. Masking tape on the line where you're going to cut the sheet of plywood is another one of my tips. This will hold back the wood fibers on the edge when you saw through the cut line. Here's something else to think about. Since all types of woods are porous and can absorb moisture, they typically expand. The same goes for plywood and creates a problem, especially when you're dealing with exact measurements. My tip to compensate for plywood expansion is this. Give an allowance of 1/8 of an inch on the frame or structure where the plywood is about to be installed. If water causes the plywood to expand, the expansion will accommodate, minimize, or completely get rid of the gap left by the allowance. Another tip for working with plywood and to ameliorate plywood expansion is to nail plywood securely to a wooden structure or backing. The nails need to be 3/8 of an inch away from the edge of the plywood. Consider the spacing of the nails you use. Those who have years of experience advise you to space the nails no more than 6 inches apart from each other. To decrease plywood expansion, you can coat it with waterproof finishes. Shellac and varnish are examples of effective waterproof coats. There are many waterproof treated sheets that you can buy at lumber stores too. Make sure you check out the lumber yard and choose waterproof plywood. Use oil-based finishes on plywood to get rid of fuzz. If after applying finishes the fuzz is still there, remove it by rubbing the surface lightly with a fine-grade sandpaper. Thanks again for buying my book. If you have a minute, please leave a positive review. I would appreciate it a lot. Thanks. I take reviews seriously and always look at them. This way, you are helping me provide you better content that you will love in the future. A review doesn't have to be long. Just 1 or 2 sentences and a number of stars you find appropriate. Hopefully 5, of course. Also, if I think your review is useful, I will mark it as helpful. This will help you become more known on Amazon as a decent reviewer and will ensure that more authors will contact you with free ebooks in the future. This is how we can help each other. Other practical guides: bass fishing, the How to Catch Bass Fish Guide, bass fishing, American secrets and locations to catching freshwater bass, fly fishing, guide of 50 tips to catch fish with flies, fly fishing, 50 extra tips to fish for salmon and trout, drawing cats with realistic pencil sketches, drawing dogs with realistic pencil sketches, drawing horses with realistic pencil sketches, and drawing faces with realistic pencil sketches. Disclaimer: this information is provided as is. The author, publishers, and/or marketers of this information disclaim any loss or liability, either directly or indirectly as a consequence of applying the information presented herein, or in regard to the use and application of said information. No guarantee is given, either expressed or implied, in regard to the merchantability, accuracy, or acceptability of the information. The pages within this ebook have been copyrighted. This has been Woodworking, Guide of Popular DIY Woodworking Ideas and Plans. Written by Harry Devers. Narrated by Jason Burkhead. Copyright 2017 by Harry Devers. Production copyright 2017 by Harry Devers.